Let's go. Hey, 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 yo. Come on. Hey, 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 yo. Oh, yeah. Hey.
Welcome, everyone, to the Fantastics Inside of Baseball podcast. I'm Lou Blassie, along with Skylar Dombrowski, and it's a big day for us, Sky. My favorite day of the year.
The National Day of Potential Concern.
Yeah, because all of us analysts now can just say, to hell with small samples. You got a right to be concerned at this point.
Or not, depending.
Or not, yep.
Yeah, I mean, we're finally getting enough data where you can draw some conclusions on some things, some players. So, yeah, we'll delve into a whole bunch of guys today and see what your level of concern should be.
Yeah, so the exercise is we've got a bunch of guys you could be concerned about. We're going to see how much concern is warranted at this point, right?
Yes, and in some cases, the answer will be very little. And in others, it'll be just say goodbye.
Okay, what are the tools? I know it, and I know the answer is it varies for each player in each circumstance, but what are the tools here?
Well, I'm kind of going in order of how stats seem to stabilize. So I'm looking at swing decisions, and you're looking at exit velocity and launch angle, and you're obviously looking at the luck stats like BABIP and homer to fly ball ratio, and just trying to make some determinations on what is going on, why, and is it likely to change. So it's most of the same sort of procedures that we use all the time. It's just that you're getting a little more confidence in the amount of data that is there to be analyzed.
An expected average and expected slugging can come into this as well. And as we talked about a little bit last week, I like quality of contact because if it's weather related, if it's early season related, it's not going to limit the quality of contact in terms of exit velocity. It's more about carry, especially when we're talking about power, a disappointing power player or something like that. So it's just we try to look at a player and see what the story tells us are the important indicators as opposed to the result stat. It's indicator versus result stats that we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think people often have this misconception that we're not concerned with how players are actually doing. No. But, you cannot unring the bell. What is done. And yes, those stats count. And yes, that's what we're going for. But we're going for what is likely to happen next. That's what we're always looking for.
Right.
And for that, what has happened is almost not relevant. What has happened in the underlying sense as to why what has happened. That is what's relevant because that's a little more predictive.
Well, in our games, whether it's Roto, which I know you love, or whatever format you play in, the stats are the reality. What they've done so far is reality, but the most important stats are the ones that haven't happened yet, and that's what we're trying to figure out.
100%. Yeah. I mean, what's the point in analyzing why, Cal Raleigh has had, such a disappointing start to the season? But the why is the important part. The fact that he has is just, it stinks, but it's not important to you right now in terms of making decisions.
Well, the why is important because it indicates to us what might happen in the future, which again is the important exercise right now.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. So I asked you before the show because I was wondering why is Ezequiel Tovar the first guy on your list? For those of you, we'll give you a little inside. We talk about a topic and then Skylar sends me a list. And I go, Tovar is the first on the list. I wonder if this is significant.
It is not significant, except in the sense that he has been the single worst performing offensive player to this point in the season. And because he was the 19th drafted shortstop by ADP, he was pretty much rostered for just about every format at the beginning of the year. So this is important. And like any Colorado starter, I mean, people are interested in Colorado starters. So what's going on with Ezequiel Tovar? Yeah. Well, the thing with Tovar is I think people just get a little too excited. They project a little bit too much growth from a player sometimes. Yeah. And I'm guilty of that too, for sure. He's only 24 years old. So you think, oh, well, starting shortstop, Coors Field, showing some power. There has been bad luck here. Right? He has no plate discipline, awful contact bat. These are problems, and they're problems that aren't changing. So he does have a limited ceiling or actually a terrible floor would be a better way to put it to begin with. But there's been a lot of bad luck here too. A 22% line drive rate and a 283 BABIP in Coors. That those two things do not go together. Yeah, that BABIP is probably about 75 points light. So the batting average in particular is expected to go up quite a bit. But I just think that there's not as much power here or what's going to develop going forward as people were hoping for. So for a guy like Tovar, I think that if he weren't in Colorado, he would be completely off the radar for everyone. The fact that he's in Colorado makes him mildly interesting, but for me, he's not somebody I'm really interested in rostering. You have to be a really high power, high speed guy with his plate discipline and contact ability for me to be interested personally.
And you have to be
Other
there.
people are different, but
And you have to be there consistently.
yeah, and he's just there's so much swing and miss here.
Okay.
I'm not interested.
I'm an old school guy. I don't have the statistical acumen that you have, and certainly our founder, Anthony Perry, has, and most of our writers and most of the people I've worked with. But here's one thing I know. Everyone's judging him based on a 26 home run season 2 years ago. He had 655 at-bats. If that doesn't indicate ceiling to you, I don't know what else does. You can't pay for that 26 homers, right?
Well,
Especially given his quality of contact, which didn't indicate to me 26 homers.
Yeah, I mean, you pay for it in the sense that, okay, that was a 22-year-old player hitting 26 homers. You think ostensibly you're going to build some more strength between age 22 and say 26.
Yeah.
So, okay, if that's the ceiling, then maybe the ceiling is really going to be 30 to 35 down the road. But I just don't see it. I don't see that developing. It's difficult. Raw power and game power are different things. And with Tovar, you're not getting to the raw power very much. The raw power is probably slightly above average. He's put up exit velocities in the 110 to 112 and a half range in 24 and 25. He hasn't gotten there yet this year, but it's early still. I think that's the biggest issue is that, we just haven't seen enough growth, and the contact ability trumps all here. Like you have to actually hit the ball to be able to benefit from the Coors Field air.
But we have this little statement in the preseason we use a lot where, what is this player going to do? First, tell me how many at-bats he's going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't pay for 655 at-bats again. There aren't many players in many years that are going to get 655 at-bats. Try to indicate what he's capable of with 150 less at-bats, because that's what you should be paying for.
Which is a ceiling of 20 home runs, and you've got awful contact, so you're going to have some batting average potential pitfalls there. He's not that interesting a player to me, despite the Colorado thing.
Yep, not enough power, not enough speed.
Yep.
Both of which you need one or the other at that position.
Yeah, the best thing he's got going for him is that the Rockies really don't have a good shortstop prospect behind him. Cole Carrig is around, and he could play shortstop, but they've been playing him more as a utility guy, much more center field lately. So, I don't feel like he's in their plans. I think Tovar is the guy for a while, at least until Ethan Holiday might have a chance in a couple of years.
Yep.
So Tovar has some leash here, but again, just the plate discipline's terrible.
Yeah.
You cannot be swinging. You can't be chasing it over 40%. You just can't. Not in today's game.
I don't think we're concerned at this point. I think we're more than concerned. I think we're just
out.
who he is. Yeah, just out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Until we see some change, because he's got marginal power at best, and he's going to need more. He's going to need a better hit tool and more plate approach than he's had. And there's no indication he's making any progress.
Yeah, exactly. And he simply doesn't have it. You got chase rates the last his 5 seasons in the majors, 40, 42, 43 and 3/4, 41 and 42 and a half this year. And that guy is who he is. 60% swing rates 3 years in a row. That is far too aggressive in today's game. You're not going to be successful.
All right, Cal Raleigh, you mentioned him. He's the poster child for the National Day of Potential Concern.
Well, yes, okay. You have to separate always when we're doing this discussion on any player, really. We're a month and a half into the season, 2 months into the season. You have to sort of understand the concept of sunk cost. You made decisions at a certain point in the season, and just because you made them doesn't mean that should carry weight. Like, yes, you should trust what you thought to a certain point of data, but just because you did something that wasn't smart doesn't mean that you then have to suffer through it. So, we talked about this ad nauseum really in the preseason, and I wrote an article about it over the winter in a magazine, and I was out on Cal Raleigh at basically any cost this year, regardless, no matter what, period, end of statement.
At any cost?
At just about any cost. Okay. Unless he went back to last year's cost for some reason.
Okay, so tell me why, because he obviously had the 60 home runs, which is going to raise his cost beyond any reasonable price range. So we're all out based on that. He had
plus his home run fly ball way out of line with the rest of his career.
Yeah.
His batting average was way higher than the rest of his career, and it wasn't really supported by anything else. It was just a really fortunate season, top to bottom.
Yeah, it was an aberration, but he had 30 home run seasons before that, which gives him some value. Plus, as a catcher, he gets 500 plus at bats on a yearly basis.
Yes, and that should have been the expectation. So what would you pay for Cal Raleigh if he's going to bat 220 and hit 30 home runs? Because that is what is likely.
Exactly.
And he was going in the second round. So
Oh, yeah.
no, I'm completely out. Okay. Third round, I'm out. Fourth round, I'm probably out. If you're down to the fifth or sixth round, now we can start talking about, all right, Cal Raleigh, maybe he could hit 40 to 45 homers again. Probably he's going to hit 30. That's really good for a catcher. The batting average is going to hurt. I don't think he's going to steal a bunch of bases again, things like that. So I was out to begin with. But that ship has sailed. What do we have now? More chase, low contact rate. Exit velocity is down 4 miles an hour. Now that is a problem.
Yeah.
I think that the rest should help reset him. This hasn't been bad luck. He's just been bad.
Yep.
And you don't know how long. It's oblique injuries. They don't generally just come out of nowhere. There's some kind of discomfort that generally the player tries to play through, and then they tear enough where it's time to go on the IL. It probably was bugging him for a little bit, so that's probably part of the performance issue. But again, I think that you have to understand what the value of Cal Raleigh should be. And you've got a 29-year-old catcher that's played a lot of games. Now, granted, he's not always behind the plate, but it's a lot of wear and tear. Catchers age early usually. So this is getting to be a concern. He's getting mid-prime now in terms of age. And when do we start seeing decline from a player that does not have a lot of room to give? He's a power-only bat most of the time. So if he's only helping you in one area, and that area takes a little bit of a hit with, not being able to accelerate through the ball quite as much, that's an issue.
I also think what you have to watch for with players like this is when you have an aberrational season like that, it just doesn't mess up his value in fantasy baseball. It messes with his head as well, too. And I think he's starting to play into that role where I have to hit 60 homers again, and he shouldn't be.
Well,
he's not going to.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the 3 years before, 27, 30, 34 homers. And as you point out frequently, the 34 homer season was 628 plate appearances. Do you think a primary catcher is going to get that many plate appearances again? Well, he got 705 last year. So now you're looking at just massive, massive playing time numbers that just, it's easy to say now that he's on the IL and probably will be out for about a month all told. It's easy to say now. But
more chase, more swinging strike, more pull, more fly ball. What does that indicate to you? That's a guy who's reaching.
Well, he's definitely reaching. And
his approach has changed.
But last year, that launch angle went up to 25 degrees. And it's just...
Well, I know, but you can't live like that.
No, not generally. And that's the thing.
He's failed to realize.
Well, it worked last year.
Exactly.
It worked all year. But you and I talked about this in the preseason. When we were watching the WBC and we looked at that USA lineup, like who is the guy you attack? Cal Raleigh's the most exploitable guy in that lineup.
Oh,
he's
you'll
just
love
not super dangerous to me.
Yeah. You'll love seeing him come up. Was he batting fifth or sixth in that lineup at times?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And he's the guy I would go for. Like he's the one I can get to swing and miss.
Yep.
So
we talked about it before the show. Some people have to touch the stove. So you have to figure out that this approach doesn't work.
I just couldn't believe.
And I'm kind of convinced the oblique injury is part of that as well, about trying to be the 60 home run hitter, which he's not.
Well, probably so. And the bat speed is still pretty much elite, but if you're trying to reach for it all the time, and I don't know. It's hard to get into a player's head. All I know is I couldn't believe the price that I saw he was going at in the preseason. Just the odds of him coming anywhere near that level of performance again were so low.
Oh, I know. But by the same token, and the other part about that is that it used to be you'd be looking at Cal Raleigh 4 years ago at the catching position would have been not worth that price, but you'd be interested in it. Nowadays with the catching position, there's plenty of options out there that aren't not 60 home run hitters. Like Cal Raleigh's not a 60 home run hitter.
Well, look at the Marlins. The Marlins send down one really kind of interesting young catcher because he's not good defensively, and bring up another pretty interesting young catcher. Like they're growing them on trees now.
I know, and there's home runs to be found there. It's probably catchers that are drafted late, teens rounds and beyond, that are going to perform as well as Cal Raleigh this year, at least in the power department.
I said in the article in that magazine, I said in the Fantasy Baseball Index is the magazine. I said that I would prefer Shea Langoliers at cost to Cal Raleigh.
Yep.
This was in December. So I've been well on record for almost a half a year now about where I thought things were going to play out this year. And it's nice. You got to take a victory lap every once in a while. It's nice to be right. This seemed like an easy one to me.
Well, that's the thing. It's unbelievable that requires a victory lap because, again, he hit 60 homers. I get it. How much?
I got to look this up. So to his final ADP was 17 and a half. Okay. So
That's
17 and a half. This
Yeah.
is middle of the second round. It's inexplicable. Why?
And that's the average, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. What was his earliest? 4. He went 4th.
Someone picked him 4th. That's crazy.
What in the world are you doing?
God. All right, let's go to Kansas City because I got a lot of issues with Kansas City. First of all, I got a lot of stock in Kansas City, but Vinny P is not one of them.
No, but he's been one of the more disappointing ones.
But I wanted him to be. I missed him. I got sniped on him on a couple occasions. I wanted Vinny P, so I would have been stuck with Vinny P too, as well as the rest of the Royals I'm stuck with.
Same, and I got sniped on him a bunch of times as well. I was willing to at first base. Excuse me. At first base this year, I was willing to wait and wait and wait. Ended up with TJ Rumfield from Colorado in a lot of leagues, and I've been perfectly pleased with that. He's been fine.
Yandy Diaz for me. Yeah.
What's that?
Yandy Diaz for me.
Oh, Yandy's he's a good hitter. It's good to see him finally 10 years after I was pounding the drum to have him play more. It's good to see him finally be a pretty consistent star. He's a great hitter and some of the biggest biceps you're ever going to see in your life on a guy that just doesn't hit a ton of home runs.
Back to our previous point about Cal Raleigh, what would you rather need right now, a catcher or a first baseman?
I would rather need a catcher. I can find a catcher.
Because they're out there.
Tyler Stevenson is sitting out there in most leagues, and that guy, talk about people who have been unlucky so far this year. I think Tyler Stevenson is a rather good hitter, and as it's warming up in Cincinnati, the ball's going to start flying out of there. Geez, they had a 3-game series last week with 45 runs were scored in 3 games.
I'm hoping for the same in Kansas City, and Bobby Witt, who I have in a lot of places. Sal Perez is starting to heat up a little bit.
Those are the 2 guys that are heating up a little bit. Yeah. But Kyle Isbell is probably the only guy that you could say is surpassing offensive expectations for the Royals right now. That's a sad state of affairs, really.
Michael Garcia very low expectations.
Well, that's part of it. Michael Garcia's been okay. Bobby Witt's been okay. Sal Perez has been maybe slightly less than okay. And then you got guys like Vinny who have just been bad. Yeah. It's really depressing. His exit velocity is down 2 miles an hour. The bat speed's down 3 miles an hour. And that's an astronomical amount when it comes to how fast you swing the bat, because it generally is pretty consistent. More fly ball and pull also contributing to a lower average, in addition to the less power with the lower bat speed and consequently the lower exit velocity. Bad luck plus bad play is what I see here. The contact rate's still very good. And, in an ideal world, Vinny Paquatino is a well above average contact and above average power bat. And he is worth the 10th overall first baseman selected via ADP, which is where he was in the preseason. I do have some faith here that there is just something amiss that, the better weather and everything is going to fix as we warm up finally. But to this point, it's more wish casting than it is something I can point to say, oh, it's because of this, this, and that. I'm a Vinny, because of the relative lack of team performance overall, plus complete lack of speed. He's one of those guys that is sometimes droppable in regular formats, standard formats. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now. I love him as a player, but he's just showing very little this year.
That's painful. That's just painful.
I know. He's one of my favorite players, not just because of how he plays, but he's also just a really cool Twitter follow. He seems like a genuinely good guy. And I love that team. Like you, I'm invested. Michael Garcia. I have a lot of Garcia.
And you and I both believe in the whole team malaise concept too, because something's going on there, and it's affecting everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just there. We'll hit another team in a couple players where it is a team-wide issue, And, it doesn't just depress the counting stats for everybody, but it's just like everyone starts pressing and like, I've got to be the guy. You come into the last inning and when a team's going right, it's like, all right, I'm just going to find a way to get on base, hit by pitch, walk, whatever. I'm just going to get on and then move the line along for the next guy. But when teams are going bad, it's I got to hit this ball out of the park because the guy behind me is going to do nothing. So and it starts seeping in, and it can really get to a point where teams start blowing themselves up over it and trading players and things.
And you have no pressure on the defense. Pitchers throwing out of the set position in a lot of cases. That's when the offense is bad overall. Trust me, I'm watching it on a day-to-day basis. When an offense is bad overall, it creates more pressure. It makes it easier for pitchers, which creates more pressure for the hitters, which just expands the problem.
Yeah, and there's two teams in particular that I can think of right now that are really kind of going through this, and the Royals are number one, and we'll get to the other one in 4 players.
4 players.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Bo Bichette is next on the list, and Bo signed with the Mets, and we got a team malaise kind of issue there too.
Well, there I watch a lot of Mets games because of where I am and the fact that my wife is a big Mets fan. Yep. So we kind of alternate back and forth. I have baseball priority on the TV, but I like watching different teams. I don't always watch the Yankee games. I'll watch that on my phone while we're watching the Mets. So I do watch a lot of Met games, and they're definitely playing better the last few weeks. They brought all the kids up. They got like 3 young outfielders they brought up in the last week and a half.
You got a mixed marriage, huh? Mets fan, Yankees fan?
Oh, I think that gets overplayed. Like Mets fans hate the Yankees. Yankees fans don't hate the Mets. It's like the kid brother thing. Like, oh, look at you. You go, little buddy. It's condescending, but whatever. There's room for everybody. I never understood the whole mentality of disliking another team's fan base. Like, how fun would it be if we all liked the Red Sox? Every single person. No one liked another team. What would be the point of having sports?
But that doesn't apply to Philadelphia, right? We hate all the Philadelphia teams.
We hate the Philadelphia fans.
And
Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
We don't hate anybody else.
There you go.
The fans suck, and Joel Embiid sucks. As a person, really.
All right. So, but Bo's valuation is something that's difficult to gather too, because again, he's got a couple seasons in the mid-20s, high 20s, but that's a long time ago now. He hasn't really replicated that since. And I know there's been some injury history there as well. Coming into the season, he was a bit of a question mark.
He was, contact ability just continues to get better and better and better. He's a very impatient, aggressive hitter with very good contact ability. You do see those guys sometimes, and usually they're guys without a lot of power, but he has above average power. I saw him hit a couple balls. I think it was last weekend, probably against the Yankees. I saw him hit a couple balls. I was just like, wow, all right. That looks like the old Bo Bichette. It jumps off the bat. Bo Bichette's a very good player. And I thought, there's a couple things at play here, which make me think absolutely hang on to Bo Bichette. Actually, probably 3 things that I would go. Number one, we already covered. I think the Mets, the team issue that they had early in the season, I think that's pretty much going away now. Offense is clicking a little bit better as we get warmer. I think that they're fine now. They'll be decent the rest of the way. And then also, Bichette himself, 28 years old, in his prime. This year on the surface looks similar to the 2024 very low power year. But when you look at the underlying, it's really mostly just bad luck to this point. I think there's been good contact and good power, just not really seeing the results from it yet. And he definitely seems like he's hitting a lot better the last week or two from the at-bats that I have watched. So also not so worried from that standpoint. But the most important thing, I think, is have you looked at the shortstop position so far this year?
Oh, God, yeah.
I went through and looked at the top 22 shortstops from ADP beginning of the season. Now, how many of them would you say are exceeding expectations? Because I have an actual number that I calculated.
Of the top 22?
Yeah.
8.
3.
Name them.
CJ Abrams. Xavier Edwards, who really was more of a second baseman than a shortstop.
Yep.
And Otto Lopez. So the 2 Marlins and CJ Abrams.
Okay.
Then you've got guys like Ellie, Connor Griffin, Colson Montgomery, and Caballero. They've been kind of, I would say, meeting expectations. Maybe Caballero's case, he might be up at the upper end of expectations, but I'm not even sure he's going to have a job if Volpe keeps playing all right, even though they've said. Anyway, that's different topic. But then you've got like Bobby Witt maybe just be getting close to that meets expectations level now. So now you're at 8.
Yeah.
The other 14 guys, Lindor, Story, Gunnar Henderson, Dansby Swanson, Willie Adames, oh my God, Trey Turner, Geraldo Perdomo, Zach Nato, Jacob Wilson on the IL, Mookie Betts has been out most year, Jimmy Pena's been out most year, Tovar we already covered, Bichette right here, Corey Seager's been awful, batting 175. Like shortstop has been a minefield this year. It's been terrible. What is going on?
Why is Swanson and Turner not on this list? 2 guys they own, by the way.
Because I couldn't put all shortstops. I could have put all shortstops on this list, but we're trying to mix it up a little.
Would have been here 4 hours. Yeah,
it's been ugly. You got 14 of the top 22 shortstops that are really underperforming, and some of them vastly.
Turner and Swanson have just been so frustrating because every once in a while, every few nights they pop up. You know, what's there.
Turner he's doing kind of just enough to stay in my good graces. He's my top worst shortstop.
Yeah,
he's doing just enough, but man, I have Turner and Lindor and Jarren Duran and the next guy on our list, Manny Machado. Like I have a lot of really disappointing hitters for being 12-2.
So we're hanging on to Bo Bichette because of the shortstop position.
Well, it's a threefold thing. I think that the team environment is improving. He seems to be hitting a little better, and it looks like it's mostly bad luck and not bad performance. And then the shortstop position is so weak. What are your alternatives? So I think that absolutely you're hanging on to Bo Bichette right now for all of those reasons.
Expected batting average is 282.
Yeah,
and his expected slugging is high as well. And I think we've got the big contract, New York big market type of thing where he's going to need a little time to settle down a little bit. So when things start regressing to the indicators and he starts to settle down a little bit, I think we'll see much better results.
I think we're seeing it over the last week or two. He's hit a bunch of balls that I was impressed with.
Yeah. All right, we're going to San Diego now. Twice.
So if you had asked me, well, if you asked me right now, who is the most consistent offensive player of the last decade? Manny Machado would be my answer. Right
up there, yeah.
He's been inordinately consistent. So this is just really, really unusual to see this level of performance from Manny Machado. And I will say that most of it is indeed bad performance. But I do think that there is a luck component in here. The power is off a touch, but mostly it's the 190 BABIP that's killing it the most. Because, power comes and goes.
Yeah.
You go through hot streaks, but, you need the average to at least sustain some kind of floor. This was it's my dad's birthday. It was April 27th. So Manny Machado was having another hot day. Was finishing off a 5-game stretch when he was 9 for 22 with 2 doubles and 2 homers. And he ripped the ball off the left field wall and came up lame, strolling into second.
Yep.
And had pulled his calf. And he basically only sat a game or 2 after that. But he's been horrendous since that day. 119, 182, 257 slash line since that day.
Yeah.
And he had started out the year cold, but was heating up there right at that time. And I really feel like he would have a pretty normal line right now if that didn't happen. But he hasn't been able to get it going again. I don't know if the calf is still bothering him or not. He's not, Manny Machado plays through just about everything. So it very well could be, and he just won't even talk about it.
And he is 33, so.
He is 33, but again, guys like him with his profile tend to not just fall off a cliff. And he's been incredibly consistent for 10 years. So the weight of past performance and the 190 BABIP have me thinking that I'm just going to hold on Manny Machado and assume that excellent raw talent is going to win out soon.
Play rates are still there. Quality of contact slipped a little bit, especially in the barrel percentage, but it's all still there. It's just a matter of it coming together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I really feel like it was 4 weeks ago, and it just was unfortunate timing for that injury. A lot of calf injuries this year. I don't remember ever pulling my calf in my life until like earlier this year. And, I'm 20 years older than Manny Machado. But, Soto, Lindor, Machado, just a lot of calves.
In the water?
It's strange to get these kind of injury clusters.
Those are supposedly precursors to ACLs, too.
That's not what I want to hear, Lou.
Well, just don't push it.
Well, no, mine's fine now. Mine was a medication thing. They put me on this ridiculous antibiotic to get rid of an ear infection, and I pulled both my calves.
Because of the
And when
antibiotic?
I looked at I should have looked at the side effects beforehand, but
Oh, yeah.
that was a thing. Like muscle pulls was a thing.
Oh, God.
I was just walking down my back stairs. Like it was nothing. I wasn't doing anything.
What do you think?
I'm in reasonably good shape. Like that
Yeah.
shouldn't have been a thing.
Shouldn't have happened.
Nope.
But you're right. In professional sports, calf injuries have been rather prevalent, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of calf injuries are precursors to Achilles too, and those are worrisome
That's
because
what I meant, Achilles, not ACL.
you just never know on those. It's you're healthy. It's binary. You're healthy, and then you're not.
That's why Jason Tatum sat out Game 7.
Yep,
The
exactly.
calf thing, and it scared the living snot out of him.
Yep. Well, because he's coming off of that, so
Because he's coming up, out of the leg. But yeah, he doesn't want to go through Achilles again.
I don't blame you. I mean, that's
Who
not
does?
wrong.
No.
Yeah.
No, especially in that sport.
Yep.
All right, Fernando Tatis Jr., no homers so far, 180 at bats. That's not good.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, 180 at bats, no homers. Not good, Bob.
Yeah.
So, I have some good information here, actually, I think. Fernando Tatis,
You sound surprised.
outfielder 6. I mean, he's drafted right around Cal Raleigh.
Yep.
That's a very high draft pick. So I know that there's a lot of concern out there.
Because of his combination of speed and power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So bat speed's up. And no homers. I mean, the launch angle is way down. The pull percentage is down. The chase and swing strike rate, the gains have regressed. He's a little bit slower this year. He does not look great. But last year, he had a 35-game stretch where he hit 1 home run. He is prone to these patches. This one is excessive. Now we're at 48 games and no home runs. It's amazing, really, that he just hasn't run into one. But I'll say one thing that I think got overlooked when we're all looking at Fernando Tatis and his entire body of work now as he's entering his prime at age 27 this year and in his 6th year in the majors. If I'm not mistaken, I don't have the page up right now. 6 or 7 years in the majors at age 27.
Yeah.
If you look at Fernando Tatis and you look at, I think he was on the cover of MLB The Show in 2021 or 22, and you look at the first 3 years of his career, and then he had the motorcycle accident and broke his wrist, and then the steroids, and then you look at the next 3 years of his career, those are 2 different players. The first guy looks like a Hall of Famer. The second guy looks like above average power, above average speed. So I think that we're all still looking at Fernando Tatis and seeing that guy that he was when he broke into the league. That's not the guy that is there anymore. He hasn't been that guy since. So I really feel like he's a massive overdraft every year because people are still looking for that. I could be a 40-40 player guy. He's not there. That guy is not there.
It's a little strong, perhaps, but if you're going back more than 3 years, you're out of your mind. 3 years is about the window.
But people have long memories, man. Like you just remember how big a star he was, and you think, well, he got hurt. It took him a while to come back. He's still kind of coming back, and then he has these big dead stretches every year. So one of these years he's not going to have that. He's gonna be right back to where he was, and it's so easy to talk yourself into something like that and be enamored with ceiling. I don't think that's the proper ceiling for him.
No, what he is a 2025 guy. I don't know if that's quite ceiling because he's done it pretty consistently over the last 3 years, but right in that range, that's going to be a good year for him.
Yeah, and he's a very good player,
which is fine. Yeah,
yeah, but I just feel like he's an overdraft. Like every year, I feel like he's an overdraft.
Quality of contact numbers are pretty consistent. Exit velocity is down a little bit, but launch angle is the problem, right?
Yeah, the launch angle is the biggest problem right now. And I think, any hitter, even a guy that's a 10 to 15 home run hitter, if you get to Memorial Day and you don't have a homer, you're probably going to start trying to hit some homers. So that has to start weighing on guys, just much like being on the interstate 6 weeks into the season. You look up at the big board and see 188. And it's like, man, I got to get going here. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, you talked about his prevalence to go into these types of stretches. And if it had happened in August, it would be less obvious than it is now. There'd be less pressure on him. It's like, I'm just in a bad streak. We'll get out of it. These
Yeah, I
numbers
mean,
can be hard.
last year was May, June, I think. And he
Yeah.
had a pretty good April. So it was like, okay, well, whatever. It's just a cold streak. And that's always the danger with beginning of the season statistics and looking at them is this looks like nothing in August, but now it's everything because it's everything we have.
My takeaway, it's going to be a bargain next year because he's going to land in teens and homers.
If he drops down into like the late second round, third round, I would be interested. But where he gets drafted generally, I am typically not interested. I think there are too many holes in his game, and the expectation is just too high for what he tends to offer.
I think his price, I mean, no, God knows what happens from here on out, but he's going to end up in the mid-teens and home runs, most likely, which is going to drop his value considerably and make him a reasonable choice.
I think that you're very likely right. We'll just have to
No
see.
guarantee, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, look at his homer to fly ball rates. Like the first 3 years of his career, 32, 29, 32. And then post-injury and suspension, 17, 20 and a half, 16 last year, and obviously 0 this year because he has 0. But, this is it's a different player, and that's the player that you need to be drafting.
Well, just the last 3 years, 46% ground ball rate, 49% ground rate, 54% ground rate, ground ball rate.
And that's not what you want to see from a guy who's supposed to be one of your power bats.
No. 54% ground ball rate doesn't get you to 25 homers.
No, that's Juan Pierre stuff. You don't want that.
319 BABIP, and he's still hitting 239.
It's been an abysmal start. He's a better player than this, obviously, but you have to set expectations properly.
Yeah, like I said, I just put him on my watch list for next spring because price is going to be better.
God willing.
Matt Chapman, just 1 homer in 186 at bats. That's not what we're looking for either.
Yeah, no, not at all. Third baseman 11 by ADP, so he's on everybody's teams. And Matt Chapman's been a very good hitter for a very long time. He's 33 now, just like Manny Machado. Third base is kind of a wasteland this year too. It's been Alec Ball's been terrible. It's been that left side of the infield. What's going on?
I don't know.
This is the other team malaise situation though. The Giants just, they're bringing up guys and they're not hitting well. Bryce Eldridge looks totally overmatched, which is to be expected. He has massive contact issues, but they're just nobody's hitting out there. Devers has been disappointing. Casey Schmidt's like the only guy that's hitting, and I think he's so over his head. Worst chase of Matt Chapman's career.
I was doing local radio out here last week, and I said I got in a lot of trouble for it, but I said Rafael Devers could be out of baseball in 2 years. This is how bad it's been.
Wow. That's a call.
That's a call. Yeah, I know.
He'll be making a lot of money.
Hot take. He'll be making a lot of money, but yeah. Yeah, it is a team malaise.
It's a team. It's a terrible part for him. It's a terrible part for him.
Yep.
But people make choices.
But there's also a significant decrease in his quality of contact, too. There's a significant decrease in his swinging strike rate from the last couple of years, anyway, in San Francisco.
He looks like a different guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a very dangerous hitter a couple of years ago. Now he just looks like another guy. Unfortunate. But Chapman,
he'd look good in a Red Sox uniform.
Who, Matt Chapman?
Yeah.
He'd look great in a Red Sox uniform.
Yeah.
And he would really fix their third base issues. I think that's perfect part for him. Great defender still. That'd be a great fit.
Wonder if they take Caleb Durbin.
Please. It's every day I go through like player evaluations for DFS, deciding if I'm going to play that day or not. And every day Caleb Durbin shows up at the top of the player evaluations for salary because he's at minimum salary. And I'm like,
I was going to say, has he broken the floor for the minimum salary at all this year?
No, but he's down at 2,100, 2,000 every day on DraftKings. And I'm like, well, every once in a while I'll play him, but it's just not fun.
I like Scrappy Doo. I like him. I root for him, but it's not happening.
When he's the centerpiece of your offseason plans, I think that's probably not good.
Okay, so why was I going to James Duran? I was going to flip the switch a little bit on the list and go to Jaron Duran a little bit.
Oh, we're not done talking about Matt Chapman yet, though.
Okay, we're not done talking about. Okay.
Chase is up, swing strikes up. The bat speed is up, but the exit velocity is down 5 miles an hour, which is astounding. That's not good. Ground ball rate's gone up 6 years in a row. It's up 10% this year. Matt Chapman is a 50% ground ball rate. Like, that is just, I don't know what's happening. That's terrible. Lowest team OBP are the Giants. So it's not like there's people on base for him either. It's an ugly situation. And Matt Chapman, much like Vinny Paquatino, is just a guy that when he's not hitting, you can't roster him. He's not giving you anything at all because the team is terrible. So there's no counting stats to be had. If he's not hitting homers, he's not doing it for you. For me, he's probably droppable in a lot of formats right now, and it's sad to say. I think he's a great player.
Yeah, because if you go to the player A, player B, and put the thumb over his name and look at the quality of contact stats, it's like there's nothing worth rostering there.
Yeah, and that's a good way to do things, honestly, because what you paid for a guy in the preseason or what his prior performance level is means something, but we all ascribe too much meaning to it, I think.
The problem being, though, what do you replace him with? What's out there at third base? Well,
that is the problem.
Yeah,
there isn't much, but I think right now he's in the 20s in terms of performance at third base, so there's enough, probably.
All right, let's move on to Steve Kwan, who I'm sick of talking about. So you do
the ambassador of Kwan. Yeah, outfield number 37 by ADP. So this is obviously a guy that people are counting on. And when you draft Steven Kwan, you think, all right, I'm going to get 10 to 12 homers. I'm going to get some steals. I'm going to get a really good floor. He's not going to hurt my average at all. And you were wrong.
Yep.
Because, the plate discipline, the contact rate, the OBP are all typically good for him. Not quite to the excellent levels in the OBP area that they usually are, but that's sort of BABIP related. Everything else is abysmal. It's awful. And I think this just goes to prove that, floors are not ever safe. The bad things can happen. He's 28. Like, this should be one of the best years of his career. And he's got a 227 BABIP. He's hitting 200. Yeah. The exit velocity, and this is the danger with guys in the really low echelon of exit velocity, where they're clearly 2 standard deviations below in terms of raw power and game power. This is like 25 to 30 power on the scouting scale. If they drop at all, you've got nothing.
Yep.
You got an exit velocity of 82, 83 on average. You can't even get the ball through the infield on a single. So this is a problem, and it's not one that I think is going to fix itself quickly. Kwan is probably still rosterable in most formats, but I just don't like what he gives you. There is no ceiling. And apparently we all thought there was a floor. There's not much of a floor either.
Well, that's the thing about him that's so vexing. It's that when you have a hitter with a great hit tool like this, you expect more consistency from the results. And it's not an age thing. He's only 28. Should be getting a little better, actually. And his discipline, his plate approach hasn't changed all that much. I mean, he's striking out more. He's certainly walking more. I'm wondering if that's looking for an escape from his lack of performance. It's like, I'll try to take a walk at this point.
Well, his plate discipline is always great. And, what's his zone rate? Have they been I don't know why they'd be avoiding Steven Kwan, but, his zone percentage is down 5%. So, he pretty much is not going to swing if it's not a strike.
But he wasn't sustaining a high quality contact rate, but it just dipped out. It almost feels like timidity as opposed to anything else. I don't know how to explain, because again, a guy with this type of hit tool usually is a little bit more consistent than this. You don't expect a real deep drop off like this in performance.
No, but he's down in Victor Robles territory for exit velocity right now. And there's like 2 or 3 guys in the league. Chandler Simpson, I think, is down there too. And if you're not a blazer with that level of exit velocity, exactly, you are not going to get very many hits.
You can't do that with two stolen bases.
No.
But again, outfield is kind of a similar position. It's like there's not much floating around out there either.
Yeah, and he has a long enough track record where I feel like at least the batting average will come back. But the homers and steals, like what did he hit 11 last year?
Yep.
Yeah, 11 with 21 steals. Like I'm not thinking he's going to get to 8 this year.
625 at bats though for those 11 homers.
Well, plus he hits leadoff, so
yeah,
he's going to get a lot of at bats at the top of the order.
Yeah,
and Quan is fine. The performance has just been really poor, and I don't. It's not like he's all of a sudden going to have a week where he hits 4 homers and steals 6 bases. He's not that kind of player. So this is going to be a grind to get back to any kind of production.
All right, so Jaron Duran is on the trade watch at this point. Keep hitting, kids, so we can deal you.
I want to trade him. I think he's a great player.
He can be. He often isn't, but he can be. Although it's not heat up a little bit.
I feel like when the whole turnover happened, he all of a sudden started playing better.
Yeah.
He's hitting 230, 310, 514 in May, where they stopped taking him out of the lineup every 2 to 3 days and just put him back in the leadoff slot and let him hit. And lo and behold, he's hitting. So they were jerking him around a lot. And I was upset to see him out of the lineup so much early in the season. It just didn't make any sense. He's clearly one of their better players. The plate discipline, the contact rate are down. The exit velocity is down, but still quite good. The launch angle's up. 237 BABIP with a 332 career BABIP. There's a lot of bad luck in here. Some degradation of performance, but could just be related to a hangover from playing in the WBC and getting a lot of games in. I think he's fine. I think he's a really good player. He's 29. He's a little older than people think, but still firmly in his prime. I think he's a very good player. I like Jaron Duran. I would hold him absolutely.
Yeah, we'd love to see him. It's interesting what we've seen with the Red Sox is he's such a key player in that lineup right now.
Yeah.
It's like when he's hot, he lights up the whole lineup, or he helps light up.
They go how he goes. He's a true leadoff man in that sense.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that just is a key. It's amazing how key he still is. And it's when last year when they were going well and they had the playoff season, and he seemed like he was developing himself as a leader as well. And I don't know what happened in the relationship between him and Alex Cora, but Chad Tracy is his minor league coach, so they have a history and goes back, and seems much more comfortable in the current situation.
100%. It looks to me from the outside like he really needed that change.
It helped him.
Yeah. It's pretty clear. I mean, there's a line of demarcation as to when that happened and when he started playing better.
Corey Seager. I don't even know what to do with Corey Seager anymore.
This hurts because he's a very good hitter. Contact rate is way down. It's down 2 years in a row now. Bat speed's down. The exit velocity's down. He was 0 for his last 28 prior to going on the IL with persistent lower back spasms. As we'll say acquaintance, because I don't want to, pigeonhole him into having to say he's my friend, but Will Carroll, excellent injury analyst, has been for a long time. And he will make the comment frequently that back spasms, which we all have from time to time, and athletes get them too, it's usually the body's defense mechanism for something that is wrong. And if you have spasms that just recur and just continually are there, there's something structurally amiss.
Yeah. And
we think that is probably the case with Seager. I mean, 0 for 28 before going on the IL. Everything looks, he's a line drive hitter. That's how he sustains his batting average with the exit velocity and the line drive rate. And line drive rate's way down. Corey Seager had a career high of 4.5% for pop-ups, infield flies. This year's at 11.5%. Career highs. The guy's been in the league for 11 years. This is his 12th season. He's never hit more than 4.5% pop-ups, and now he's hitting 11.5%. That's just very, very odd. So something is physically not right with Seager. Hopefully this IL stint gets him right again. He's got a 208 BABIP. Career BABIP's 312. Yep. A lot of bad luck, a lot of bad performance here. I'm inclined. Seager's 32 with a checkered injury history. So definitely a guy that you want to be watching for decline. I think we're seeing some of it, but I would be holding. Especially for IL spots.
More chase, more swing and miss. This reeks of injury. More pull. He's jumping pitchers because he has to. He has to compensate for something.
And he's bat speed, exit velocity, all down. Like he's just not getting through the ball the way that he normally does.
Yep. And so, you understand why back would affect that, right?
Definitely. And I think it was getting worse from the performance levels that you see. Obviously over 28 again. Like that's not a streak that somebody like Corey Seager goes through without something being wrong.
Well, as we talked about before the show, I'm dealing with back spasms right now. We all do it. But when you're an everyday ball player and you're out there and you don't give it the kind of rest that it needs, it's not going to go away. It doesn't heal when you go into that type of physical process on a daily basis.
That's true. And he is getting to that point in life in your early 30s, no matter how good of a shape you are in, your body starts to show some cracks and some wear.
Especially when you're a middle infielder.
Yep. They don't tell you that. when you're in your 20s and jumping around and diving and bouncing off of things, and they don't tell you pay for all this later.
You're too busy being obnoxious. They don't think they can tell you anything.
Because you're invincible.
And they're usually right. Yeah, exactly.
They're right.
Exactly right. So what ideally would work great here is some time off, an IL stint.
Which is what he's got.
Yep.
He's been out since the 15th. So what's the day? 20th. So he's been out a week.
Yep.
We'll see how long the stint goes. I wouldn't be surprised if he's out 2 weeks total, so another week. Have come back at the beginning of June. He may very well just lock right back in.
Now's a good time for a buy low.
Wouldn't be opposed to it. Yeah.
At least inquire.
Yep.
Especially the way the shortstop position's going.
It's so ugly. The track record of somebody like Corey Seager would be worth gambling on, I think.
All right. Speaking of ugly, let's talk about pitchers now.
Ha! Yay!
And there's so many mystery pitchers. Jesus Luzardo is one of them.
If there's one guy on this
episode talking about Jesus Luzardo, it seems.
I'm just going to keep yelling about it every single episode. Buy him. Buy him. There is nothing bad here in the profile. Walk rate is down. The chase rate is up significantly. Swing strike rate is up. The velocity is up. The ground ball rate's up. The exit velocity allowed is down. He's 4 out of 5 quality starts in his last 5 outings. Everything looks awesome except the 4.85 ERA. He looks great. He's pitching great. Just buy him. He's going to be great.
Left on base percentage of 63.8%. It can be that simple sometimes. That's a career low.
Mm-hmm. And 2 bad outings. He had 2 bad outings early in the year.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Luzardo is pitching about as well as anybody outside of the top 10 starters right now. He was drafted as the 18th starter via ADP. I see no reason he can't give you that kind of production the rest of the way. If his owner is disenchanted in your league, by all means, go get him.
That's why we do game logs, people. And by the way, go to insiderbaseball.com. And if you're a subscriber, you get access to everybody's game logs, and it gives you a true indicator of the quality of performance of those stats going back. And you find out that a lot of what's going on with the results stats is 1 or 2 bad stats, especially in mid-May.
Yep. Almost always.
Almost always. And again, expected ERA and xFIP tells you the story. The performance has been better than the results stats are showing you right now.
Yep. Except for the next 2 guys. Almost always it's a couple bad outings.
Aaron Nola, 6.04 ERA.
If there's one guy that is on my shit list more than any other, it's Aaron Nola right now. I have him in so many leagues, and I don't even know why. Like, when it came time to pick my 7th or 8th starter, I just said, Aaron Nola. Like, what are the odds that 6 ERA was going to happen again? Well, apparently good, because he has a 6 ERA again. It's a walk rate primarily, but also, the chase and the swing strike rate are down. They're above average and average respectively now, so he doesn't have that to lean on so much anymore, the bat missing that he used to be able to rely on. Ground ball rate's down too. Home runs have been a problem for him off and on throughout his career, so that's not too surprising a thing, but it's the walk rate. And when you look down into the stuff level of things, his spin rate is way down on every pitch, but primarily on the fastball. He was a guy, like most pitchers, that pitch off their fastball, and was very successful at doing it for many, many years. And his fastball's been pretty awful this year. And the spin rate is down significantly. It's like between 5 and 10% down. That's a lot. 356 BABIP allowed. There is some bad luck here as well, as there always is if you have a 6 ERA, I think. 296 career BABIP. He's an average BABIP guy, so 60 points above average. Probably will normalize, I'm guessing. There's been some deterioration. There's been some bad luck. He was SP 59, so he was pretty much drafted in all formats. Probably some people have cut him. I'm inclined to hold. I don't love it, but I think streaming him against some of the less power-laden offenses is the way that I'm going to play this for the time being.
This is the opposite, though, because at that position, there are players floating around. I'm sitting there with good pitching staffs and thinking to myself, God, I wish I had a spot because this kid looks interesting. This kid looks interesting.
100%. And there are some guys on this list. Like, I went through in doing this whole the research for this lengthy pod. I went through ADP trying to recreate where we were all in terms of thought process in March. And I'm befuddled by some of the thought processes. We'll talk about them as we go here, but there's some guys that I can't believe they were drafted where they were.
I know it's interesting to look back at this point in the season, but you have a lot of recency bias too, and it's been difficult for a lot of players because as we have a long show here because we get a long list. A lot of players have had disappointing seasons to this point.
Well, it's definitely true, and we're at the point where you can make some actual judgments as to whether this is, real or somewhat fraudulent or completely fraudulent, Luzardo's case or whatever. But I'm usually pretty good about recreating decision-making processes, and I'm looking back. It's 7 weeks. It's not that long. I'm looking back and saying, we drafted Kyle Bradish where? Why were we doing this?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good example. But let's simplify it a little bit because we talk about the 3 pillars of starting pitching. We've talked it for the last couple of years, and basically this is a great example of that because he strikes out guys about a 9, maybe sub 9. He's been around 9 for the past 9 per 9 for the last 4 years, but he isn't controlling the walks right now. 3.2. It's been 2.6, 2.2, 2.0 the last 3 years, and he gives up homers. It's not a great combination because he doesn't strike out guys a ton, walks a little bit more than you're comfortable with, and gives up a lot of homers.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing with Nola is that we all remember the lengthy track record that he had of being a good control pitcher that missed a lot of bats but gave up some homers.
Yep.
And now he's a mediocre at best control pitcher that misses some bats and gives up a lot of homers. Well, that's a problem. So for me, he's a stream guy at this point, and at age 32, I don't see it heading back in the other direction.
That's a diminished spin rate right there because everything comes back to that. That's exactly what you're talking about. But he becomes a difficult streamer because, first of all, plays in the National League East. Secondly, plays in Philadelphia. So you got to get a home game. You got to get a bad team. It's just like there's not going to be a lot of really exciting matchups for him.
No, I think you're probably looking at starting him a third to 2/5 of the time. And again, so if you have a roster spot for that, great. If not, there, like Lou said, there are options out there. I'm not enamored with Aaron Nola anymore.
Unless you're in like the Tout Wars League where you just need as many innings as possible.
That's where I've held him in 2 leagues. I usually start him there. I've sat him, I think, twice out of his 10 starts, and I've paid for it a couple times.
All right, how about if we summarize it that way? If you're in a league where innings are important, he's a hold.
Yeah, because he usually gives you some depth. Like his classic outing is like 6 innings, 9 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks. Like if that appeals to you, by all means.
Yeah, and if the sequence works out, you get a decent start out of him.
It sometimes happens.
Well, that's the walk
home run praise.
That's the walk home run sequence.
Right.
All right, Eury Perez with Miami. This has been severely disappointing. We all like Eury Perez.
We do. And this is another example of what I was just talking about, like trying to recreate what we were thinking in March. And everybody was so high on Perez, and he jumped all the way up to SP 22. So people are thinking he's going to be their second starter. And I think, this is how I usually write like little 1 quick sentences about how I would sum up how we feel about a player right now. And for Perez, I wrote, we hoped for growth and got regression.
Yep.
You're looking at a 23-year-old kid that's had some level of success, albeit very inconsistent over the last few years. And you think, all right, well, he's going to put it together at some point, right? But the control is just poor. The ground ball rate's getting better, but still poor. The swing strike rate is dropping, but still good. So you've got 2 of the 3 pillars of the things that the most important things that we talk about are not good. The velocity's been stable. The stats do not match the stuff. Yeah, I think if you watch Eury Perez pitch, he does look like he's going to be a good pitcher, but the results just they don't get there. And we talked about with Luzardo, and with most pitchers that have rough ERAs, that it's usually a couple blowups and that's all. With Perez, that is absolutely not the case. It's just been a whole lot of 5-inning, 4 or 5 earned run starts. He only had 1 really good start. No real blowups. 5 and 5, I think, is the worst start, but only 3 out of 10 quality starts. And that's just not what you're looking for from a guy that was the 22nd drafted starting pitcher. Like, what were we thinking? That's so much guessing.
let's follow through that exercise. It is a lot of guessing, but let's look at that exercise and look at it without 20/20 hindsight, where you're looking at a 4.25 ERA pitcher, but he had a 105 WHIP, struck out some guys, walked a little bit more than you wanted him to walk, but he's 22. He's going to get a little better, right?
You
Gives up
hope.
more homers than you want, but he's in Miami and he's going to get better. He's 22. And he had a 65% left on base percentage with that 425. That explains it. He's capable of high threes, like maybe a 360, 370, that type of ERA, which would make him in line for that 22nd spot. That's kind of what we were putting together at the time.
I think so.
We're right,
He's
right on the border, and he's right on the border, and he's 22. He's going to get better.
You look at the xFIPs. He's never posted an xFIP under 4. So, yeah, I mean, I understand what people are looking for.
Yeah.
But for your number 2 starter, on average, that's where he was drafted for people. For your number 2 starter, you can't take a guy where you're thinking, all right, I think he might make the leap to this.
I don't understand the jump and control issues, though. 4.82 walks per 9 after 3 last year. I mean, that's just fear at this point, right?
Or it's that he can't. It's not like he's ever been a great control pitcher.
Not great, no, but reasonable.
He's been okay. In the minors, he was kind of high 2s to occasionally nosing up toward 4. So this is all kind of right in line. This year's a little bit worse, but I don't know. I mean, I liked Eury Perez this year too, coming into the drafts. But when I saw where he was going, I just ended up with none of it.
I think we kind of hit on the 3 pillars of starting pitching at exactly the right time, because first of all, we were figuring out how important the walk rate is. And we learned that it was a big emphasis, but that was at a time when I think the entire game started to learn it and became a bigger point of emphasis. And you'd sit there, like, I look at a 302 walk rate a little bit differently than I would have 5 years ago. It's like, I can put up with that a little bit, but you know what? I don't want to anymore.
Well, it's just too dangerous.
Yeah.
Because guys aren't going to hit homers. And everybody's an exit velocity merchant now. So
yeah,
you're going to have some hard hit balls against you. Even when you're having a great start, you're going to have a few. So
his home run rate showed improvement, was under control, and he is playing in Miami. So you thought that that'd be something that would play out.
Well, and it's still it's early. I'm not advocating cutting Eury Perez at all.
No,
but he just hasn't been good, and we hoped he'd be good, and instead he's been a guy that the stats look like you could cut him. I would not.
No, again, it depends on market too, because again, there's starting pitchers out there.
There are,
playing in a couple 12 teams leagues, and they're floating around. This has been the thing the last 2 or 3 years.
It has.
I'm locked in, and I hate being in that position because I see so many guys, especially, it's probably because I'm so frustrated with the outfield position and third base position. I'm especially frustrated with the outfield position. Like, give me a damn outfielder.
Yeah, the Yankees keep cycling through their young guys and not liking what they see.
Yeah.
Or guys get hurt.
All right. Zach Gallen has been up and down. He had a good start. Did he have a good start the other night, or am I confused with somebody else?
Actually, I don't know. Yeah. I didn't see one of his, but it's West Coast. I have a tough time watching them a lot of the time. It's awful late for me anymore.
Strikeout rate is off the charts at this point. This is a big red flag.
It is. The swing and miss stuff just seems completely gone.
Yeah. Can't survive in the majors if you don't have any swing and miss, and he doesn't seem to.
Not anymore. And he's 30 now. A couple injuries on his resume. The slider usage is up a ton. He's trying to use that as an out pitch, and it's really just not. It's not happening. I'm out completely on Zach Gallen at this point. I think, like you said, if you can't miss bats in today's game, you have to miss it at a certain level, or have a ridiculous ground ball rate. If you don't have either, there's just no point. There's no upside here.
And he's decent at control, and he's decent at keeping the ball in the ballpark, but not enough to compensate for the total lack of swing and miss.
Right. Chase rate's better, but even so, they're still making contact, which just speaks to the stuff not being anywhere near as electric as it was 5 or 6 years ago, but just not even to where it was the last couple of years. I'm just not impressed at all. There's nothing here that makes me think, okay, he's going to be able to produce for me.
Right. So this is one of the true single effect make or break candidates. The strikeout rate just isn't there. It's a deal breaker.
I think so. For me, it is.
Has to be in this day and age.
Yeah.
Fernando Valdez with the Tigers now.
So
An interesting guy.
yeah, I mean, so here's another guy. Like, Eury Perez was SP22, Fromber's SP21 by ADP this year, and you can justify it with him because the ground ball rate was ridiculous. So ground ball rate was great, and he had pretty good control. So you look at that and you say, all right, well, now he's going to Detroit. It should still be a good pitcher. It's a good offense. Favorites for that division should be fine. Control's worse. The ground ball rate's worse. The swing strike rate is worse. The chase rate's up, which is odd, but okay. What made him elite was a combination of solid control and elite ground ball rate. If that instead is mediocre and very good, that's not good enough because he doesn't miss enough bats. So I am pessimistic here, but I feel like he's probably too good to cut. I'm just not happy with what I see.
Plus change of venue. Maybe there's a settling in type of period here.
Maybe.
It's funny, his home run rate's gone up in that ballpark, which is kind of interesting.
Comerica's, it's not a cavernous park. It's just a little bit below average for home runs.
Yeah, but in April and May, you should get a little bump there.
Yeah, especially in Detroit because it was like 35 half the time.
Yep. So, again, good home run rate, but strikeout rate isn't there. Walk rate certainly isn't there. 2 or 3 on the bad side. Home run rate's okay.
And the ground ball rate's no longer elite. So
yeah.
When he was up around 60% ground balls, it doesn't really matter if you're giving up exit velocity or if you're not striking out a ton of guys because you're going to get away with it. Now there's down closer to 50%. You have less latitude there.
Well, in our 3 pillars, Anthony Perry, when he looked into it, went into ground ball rate as opposed to home run to fly ball rate, which is usually what I tend to look for. Mm-hmm. And ground balls can solve a lot of things for you.
Definitely. Ground ball rates, there are a lot of mediocre walk rates combined with huge ground ball rates, and you get a lot of double plays.
All right. Robbie Ray had a terrible outing his last time out.
Didn't he, though? Because I have him in so many leagues. Aaron Nola and Robbie Ray were guys that I just they were back end of the rotation guys for me, and I felt pretty good about getting them, and it hasn't been pretty good. The chase and swing strike rate for Ray are both still quite good. The control and the ground ball rate are both still quite bad. And I think that I fall victim to this sometimes too, just like everybody does, where you have this perception of a guy that has had a rather long career. Robbie Ray's 34 now.
Yep.
And you have a perception of the guy that maybe isn't the guy right now. And I think if you look at Robbie Ray's career, when he had the flexor tendon repaired in 2023, the guy that came back from that is not the guy that went into the surgery. He is a different pitcher now, still with a lot of the same strengths and weaknesses, but the strengths are weaker and the weaknesses are magnified.
Yeah.
And this is a problem. So you're going to get these blow-up starts from Ray, and you're still going to get some starts from him where he looks dominant. Because that breaker is still a really devastating pitch. Any left-hand heavy lineups, he's pretty tough against still. So I think that Ray is a streamer at this point in his career, but I am pessimistic about him getting back to anything more than that. And he was SP 45 by ADP, so clearly a guy that was drafted everywhere again.
So there's nothing here attractive. The strikeout rate, the walk rate, the home run to fly ball rate, the home run per 9 rate. There's nothing here you'd buy into at this point if this is what he is at this point. And that's, I guess, is the big question. With 10 starts in, though.
Yeah, we're a third of the way into the year, basically. Yeah. So the chase and the swing strike rate are pretty good. So he can still miss some bats. The K rate hasn't quite reflected it, but I look at K per 9 much less than I look at the chase and the swinging strike when I'm trying to prognosticate what a K rate might be going forward. So that is still, in my mind, a strength of his, although a weaker strength than it was prior.
Again, a significant slippage. And by the way, his 4.28 ERA comes with an 80% left on base percentage. So he's been somewhat lucky.
He's been fortunate in that respect. But it's for me, it's the control with him, and it always has been. When he has shown good control, he's a great pitcher. But those times have been very rare.
4 years.
Yeah, it's been rare.
Yeah. Right. You mentioned him earlier, Cal Bradish.
SP20. He was drafted in front of both Framber and Eury Perez and about a million other pitchers that are worth having. And it's not that I have a problem with Kyle Bradish. I think that the stuff appears mostly intact after his Tommy John. And he's on a nice run of 3 solid starts in a row currently. But here's the thing, and we talk about this every year, and inevitably some of us forget, a lot of us forget. The first full year back from Tommy John surgery, the control is usually not quite there, which means the performance is not going to be quite there. And for a guy coming off TJ, if you're going to draft him as your number 2 starter, I have many, many questions.
Yeah.
So all 3 of these guys, and it was some fortune and some planning, but all 3 of those guys, Eury Perez, Framber Valdez, Kyle Bradish, that I think are overdrafts, certainly in hindsight. But I thought at the time, I ended up with none of them because they all were going so much earlier than I thought they should go. And here we are. None of them are performing up to their potential. I think that Bradish is probably the most likely of the 3 to end up being pretty good, especially as we get into the second half of the season and the usual end of first year, full year post TJ control improvement starts to take hold.
Give them some breaks. They have to relearn their mechanics totally.
Exactly. After you didn't throw for quite a long time.
So it depends on the context of your league at this point. If it's a deep keeper league, or you're not deep enough in starting pitching going forward in a keeper league, then you could take him for the year and kind of sit on it and see what happens. Because the 3 years before this were pretty damn good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
small
certainly
sample, but they were pretty damn good.
I actually hope that he has a pretty bad year and drops into like the 30s or something for going into spring of 27, because I will be very interested. I think he's a very talented pitcher.
See, you think like me. We're looking at bargains.
Looking way into the future.
Next year's prices already.
I don't even know if he'll be around then. Jeez.
I know, right? It's so true. But that's the thing that people didn't factor in. He was a very talented pitcher and had a lot of potential going into the surgery. But coming out of the surgery, there's going to be a recovery period. And it's not just the physical recovery to get back to the mound. There's a mechanical recovery as well.
Yeah, well, it's inconsistencies, I think, both mechanically, and of course that translates into performance inconsistencies. So, Bradish is a perfectly good pitcher, and right now, if he were my 3rd starter, I think I'd probably be okay with it. Probably rather him as a 4th, but I do think you're going to get some blips here with the where the command just isn't there. As we get into the end of the year, I think it'll probably be quite good. So yeah, it's just a question of what you're paying all the time. And we talk about this every February and March. Like, it's not what the guy's going to give you. It's what is it going to cost you for what he's going to give you.
And again, the starting pitching position is one that I wouldn't necessarily spend a lot of time overpaying for, because it's just a lot. It's deep. There's a lot of options.
There are a lot of options.
You don't have to reach.
No,
I mean, you want to lead. You want to lead horse.
You need to avoid the landmines too.
Yeah, you want to lead horse, and preferably a number 2. Mm-hmm. But you're right, especially when you're up in that area of the draft, you want to avoid the landmines. And coming off Tommy John surgery is a landmine with a sign on it.
It is.
With an Acme sign on it.
It is. And, you and I think, are very similar in how we build our pitching staffs, where I want a number 1, I want a number 2, and then I'm going to grab like 7 guys that I think have upside, and some of them are going to pan out and some of them are not. Like the last guy on our list.
But treat starting pitching the way I've treated bullpens all these years. Get an anchor and then just go play the game.
Yeah.
All right. We've talked about team malaise a couple of times this year. The Chicago Cubs, just Jekyll and Hyde, they're all over the place.
That's an interesting division, man. I felt really good about my my Pirates make the playoffs bet that I put in January.
Oh, nice.
And then I looked at the division and I'm like, I don't know. That's a lot of teams for them to jump over. But I also bet on them over like 76 wins. I feel pretty good about that one.
But also the Cubs, you never pay attention to April and May because Wrigley Field is just brutal.
Well, usually you can pitch in April and May, and Edward Cabrera has not really been very good to this point. He's been okay. He's 28 years old now. Again, another guy that was drafted pretty much everywhere, SP 54 by ADP. Velo's down. Exit velocity has been an issue for 3 years now, which makes the home runs an issue. Control's pretty much always mediocre. He does miss bats. It's not an indictment for me to say this, but I expected more from him. I I've expected him to make some strides, and he just seems to be okay. It's not a terrible thing. Oh, average starting pitchers are good. You need them. But I just thought maybe we'd get more out of Cabrera.
I always wonder, especially with players these days, though, and again, I'm kind of stunted because I root for the Red Sox, and it's just like it's such a head case team. But there's a change of scenery tax to be paid here too. Different organization. It's different playing in Miami than it is in Chicago.
Well, I think that the level of pressure in certain areas is practically zero. And the level of pressure in certain areas like Chicago, Boston, New York is ratcheted up to 1,000. So some players are not going to handle that sort of a thing well.
And some players go in and just take command, right? They go to a new clubhouse, they get jacked up, they go and try to make their bones in the new clubhouse, and some players a little more timid about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and let things come to them. I would expect, let's talk more about the park differential between whatever they call Marlins Park now and Wrigley. That is a different set of circumstances. Marlins Park is probably one of the 4 best to pitch in, and Wrigley is not.
And we haven't even got to the dog days yet.
They had one game that he pitched where I was like, oh, this is not a day you want to be pitching at Wrigley. I think he gave up 6 or something like that. It's just one of those days where if the ball goes in the air, it's going out probably.
Warmer and wind out.
Yep, exactly. Such an interesting park. The phenomenon there is, like, you look at a park like in San Francisco, I don't even remember what they call these parks, and they change every year, but the Giants Stadium the wind is typically blowing out of there. But it's weird how when the wind blows out, there's some kind of thing with the seawall where it just kind of like it creates this almost reverse effect where the wind is blowing out, but it actually acts for the ball like it's blowing in. It's really strange.
Yeah.
And consequently, you don't see a lot of people outside of Barry Bonds hitting home runs there.
It's wild the way ballparks can change and the way ballpark dynamics are. I remember the old Texas Stadium had that kind of effect where the wind was blowing in, but it was wrapping around the stands and actually blowing out to right.
Yeah, a little wind tunnel. Yes, definitely.
And Fenway Park changed completely when they built the new press box behind home plate, and the wind coming over the top actually started to push down on balls and suppress left field. It's amazing how things can change.
Well, I mean, if you think about, we're talking about a sport where people hit the ball in the air half the time, and we're talking about airflow. It makes sense.
All right, so Cabrera is he's not a great walk pitcher. He's not a great home run fly ball rate pitcher. He's not great at keeping the ball in the ballpark. So he's got to strike out guys. His strikeout rate has dropped considerably. But if you're going to go to his plate rates and swinging strike and chase rates, they seem to have held firm. Do you feel like this strikeout rate is going to rebound?
I do. I feel like there's K upside here. I think that on the whole, I think Cabrera will probably give you roughly league average performance the rest of the way. He is a guy that I might stream out against some of the more powerful offenses when you've got a Wrigley wind day. But for the most part, I'm riding Cabrera. I always expect more from him because the stuff is quite good.
Yeah, because you like the strikeouts, right? And then you start looking at the result stats, and it's because, again, you think we're oversimplifying, but the walk rate and the home run rate just mitigates the good swing and miss in this game.
It does.
All right, Brian Abreu, what I called him up, called up the stats.
Yeah, pretty alarming, isn't it?
His ERA is only up 5.4 runs. What's the problem?
19 walks per nine. What is he at? 11 walks per nine, something like that.
Yeah, 11, 10 and a half.
There is something wrong here. The velocity is off. The control is off. There's home runs all over the place. Like, I don't know if it was the pressure of going from a dominant 8th inning pitcher last year. He was brilliant down the stretch. Like, just was unhittable. I don't know if there's an issue mentally with him going from that role to, oh, Josh Hader's going to be out for 2 months. You're going to be the closer. Go nuts, buddy.
Can't be.
You wouldn't think. This looks more physical to me, but he's still pitching.
He's a veteran and he's in a good organization. Yeah. So if the organization is still throwing him out there, or it's been a good organization, I don't know where it is right now, but
me either. Yeah. But he's not their closer now. And they're using Brian King, which is, I think they're just trying to paper mache things until Josh Hader comes back in I think it's a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks now.
But they're not a team that would run an injured pitcher out there, so I tend to discount the health issues.
I would as well, except everything that I see from him points to something being wrong. The velocity's off a ton. You don't just drop that much velo without there being something wrong.
He's only 29, so it's not an age decline.
There is something wrong. It's control and velocity, and when you see that, the arm isn't right.
We talked about a 7.8 strikeouts per 9 as a deal breaker. 10.57 walks per 9. That's a deal breaker.
That is a deal breaker. Half of that is a deal breaker.
I know, right?
Yeah, I'm completely out. There's something very wrong here. I'd be shocked if he doesn't go on the IL at some point.
2.3 homers per 9. It's just, that's not good.
No, everything's bad. Everything's really bad.
But again, Houston isn't stupid. It hasn't been stupid.
No.
He can't be hurt, and he can't be concealing an injury, can he? Not that bad an injury.
Yeah,
By the way,
could be. Sure, he could be.
These are fishing trip numbers. These are just go on the IL and go on a fishing trip for a while.
Exactly. I don't.
You don't even have to be hurt.
I don't know why he's not.
Yeah.
There is something wrong.
Yeah, you need a break.
Yep. So yeah, I'm just out. I'm not interested.
We can move on.
Yes.
Back to the Mets and Cody Senga.
Yeah. So this is he was cleared for rehab assignment today. So
yeah.
Senga, 33 years old now. He's so rarely been bad. He's just either been good or hurt, which is like my favorite guy. And this year he's been bad, and I don't like seeing that. The walks are up, fly balls, home runs up, but the velo is up, and it's up pretty considerably. And for a pitcher like Senga, I'm going to be very curious to see what he looks like on rehab, because I'm maybe stupidly, maybe naively, but I'm pretty optimistic here. I want to be buying. I want to be speculating here. So when I see that much velocity increase from a pitcher that was already successful, man, his swing and miss was the first couple outings I saw was tremendous. And then the control just disappeared. So we'll see what he comes back like, but I would not be one bit surprised if he comes back and is really good.
He's been Americanized. You think that's the problem?
I don't know.
I mean, the addition of velo maybe taken away from the fact. I mean, he tended to be a better pitcher before he had the velo. I mean,
he had that ghost fork. That thing was that just disappeared on people.
It's freaking scary.
It was a great pitch.
Yeah,
still is probably. Not going to talk about him like past tense. I think he's still going to be good.
Or is this maybe a scouting issue where with that pitch, hitters saying, "I'm just not going to chase it."
Well, exactly. I think that happened at the end of last year, where he just every time he threw that pitch, they just watched it disappear into the dirt. Like it's hard for him to throw that as a strike because it moves so much. But my feeling is that the increase in velocity, this is like 1.5 miles. It's a lot for a guy in his early 30s to jump that much. And I think that increased velocity will help make batters avoid that because they just won't have the reaction time that they had before. You think a couple hundredths of a second is not material, but it is to major league hitters.
No, but you know what? It gives them eye level. It gives them the ability to work up in the zone and change eye level.
Yes.
Which makes the ghost pitch that much more effective.
I think that this is going to be a big thing.
Because, by the way, he can throw that ghost pitch. He can throw that ghost pitch in the strike zone.
It's hard for him to do it. I mean, it has to start almost letter height if it's going to end up in the strike zone.
Yeah, but if you're tunneling a 96-mile-an-hour fastball up there,
yeah, I mean, throw that here and then throw the ghost fork, drop it off the face of the earth. Yeah, I mean, it gives him so much more latitude, and that's I'm really curious to watch his rehab outings.
All right, so he's in rehab. So
just started, just was cleared, I think, today or yesterday.
Where is he? What level? Do you know?
I'm not sure. A lot of times they'll send people to Binghamton to AA because it's an easy drive over to New York.
Well, if it's AA, it's 2-3 starts max.
He's been good. Yeah. He's been out a month, so I'm gonna say 3.
Yeah,
I think we're still 3 weeks away from Senga. But please keep an eye on him. I think that could be a really good buy.
All right, check us out at insiderbaseball.com. There's a free blog for non-subscribers where you can get some insights into our articles that we send to our subscribers every day. You can get a sample of those up there. Take a look at our preseason articles too, give you an idea how we work and how we think at Fantastics and insiderbaseball.com. Also check out the features for a subscription, how we're going to help you win championships. And the tone for today is check the game logs. Game logs are a really nice feature. There's a couple good, if you're managing pitching staffs, there's a couple good features like the 14-day pitching rotations, which are super accurate. We pay a lot of attention to them, so you can make some claims a couple weeks in advance instead of waiting. And, when the price is higher and a pitcher has got 2 starts for the upcoming week, you can anticipate that a little bit and get a bit of a bargain there. So go check it out. Our part is free there as well to non-subscribers. There's plenty of past episodes. We'll be back again. What's next? We talked about it a little before the show.
Well, probably going to start delving into some of the individual stats, like maybe some exit velocity leaders and laggers.
As stats become reliable, right?
Exactly.
That's usually what we hit about this time of year.
June 1st.
All right. Everybody have a great time, and we'll talk to you next time on the Inside of Baseball podcast. I got to get the music going here. Thanks, Sky. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Hey, hey, hey.